Hey guys, I'm Carlos Zamora. I'm based in Miami here. I'm with Carrot.com and InvestorFuse, hanging out the Motivated Sellers HQ office today, talking AI, CRM, website, the future of SEO and AI. Check out the conversation.
If you're investing, investors will.
The podcast for all things real estate investing.
So Carlos, it's amazing having you on, man. You've done so much amazing things in this space. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you got into real estate investing and the tech industry?
Thank you, bro. I got started right after college. I started wholesaling right after college as a lead manager in acquisitions with Dan Schwartz. And I was taking calls from leads that were calling direct mail first. And I put out bandit signs. I did my first deal ever, actually. First call off of a bandit sign in Cherry Hill, Baltimore, South Baltimore. Ended up turning into a deal right away. I met the buyer. He had rentals there. So within the first 2 months, I made money on a deal wholesaling. And while we were wholesaling, Dan, the owner of the wholesale company, was also in a rock band, Pigeons Playing Ping Pong. Pretty popular. They played Madison Square Garden, Red Rock, stuff like that, like a psychedelic rock band. He was doing 180 shows a year, virtually managing a wholesale business before it was really cool, while I was home, boots on the ground with one other guy, Mike. And he was always working on our CRM, which was on top of Podio, like always making these automations and doing different things, like small things, like how to send a text out or how to integrate e-signature contracts, different things like that. And he ended up spending every single day building out our CRM. And we did well wholesaling. A little foreshadowing too, we had the first Carrot website in Baltimore back in like 2014. So eventually we were working inbound leads from a Carrot site. But he started putting videos on YouTube, how-to videos on YouTube of how to do different automations or create different automations in Podio, and started getting enough requests where people were like, hey, can I just pay you to do this? So he launched a product initially that was a one-time setup called Real Automation with Joe McCall. That was kind of the go-to-market strategy there, partner with an influencer at the time and get a bunch of CRM licenses sold or CRM sold. And then that ended up turning into more of a SaaS product, like a monthly or annual recurring revenue for InvestorFuse. So that literally launched. We're filming this at the end of February right now in Aventura. Thanks for having us at the office. And that was 10 years ago we launched as a company. Dan told us one day at brunch, he's like, hey, I want to go all in on the software and I want to stop paying for marketing for the wholesale business. So about a month later, I was still wholesaling his leads, but a month later, he had me come on and just show companies on like Zoom meetings how to essentially do their acquisitions and follow up inside of their tool. So it was cool meeting with different people all over the country, just showing them how to use the CRM. And then shortly after that, like a month after that, they offered me to come on full time for a piece of equity in the company too. So that's what I've been doing the last 10 years outside some investments, some real estate investing on the side. That's my bread and butter the last 10 years. So we'll get into this as well, and I mentioned Carrot to foreshadow, but we also got acquired by Carrot a little over 4 years ago, which is the leader in websites for real estate investors. So that's been amazing as well, because Trevor and the team have been mentors to us since the first event I went to in 2016, a Sean Terry event, like in the summer of 2016, I went to. Trevor's always been super, super giving and abundant and just wanting to help people. And I've seen him from the outside be like that. And it's even more so once you're actually like inside and merged with the company. So that's been my start into wholesaling and in the SaaS business, and still doing it now. I mainly do partnerships and business development for Carrot and InvestorFuse. So meet with companies like yours. It's like an integration partner, meet with different coaches, influencers, help people get success with the product, and if they have audiences that they can serve, to use our tools to help them better their life, business, create businesses of freedom and impact. This is one of our values or missions. Happy to partner with them to see how we can collab to make it like a win-win situation where they're sharing our product. We'll get into this as well, but when we first started InvestorFuse before the rebrand, you guys were the very first PPL, and I think the only PPL company. I told Amir this with Sarah at Happy Hour a while ago, that you guys were the first PPL company. So when we'd be onboarding a company, like a real estate investing, wholesaling company from wherever in the country, a lot of them would be using the former company name before the rebrand, Need to Sell My House Fast now. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like companies can just like buy leads essentially instead of doing like direct mail was really popular back in the day then. Still Google ads, of course. That's what we were doing even in our wholesale business. But yeah, I have a long relationship with motivated sellers, just from you guys being the very first PPL company that we integrated with since our launch.
That's awesome, man. And like you said, you know, we've both been in this industry for such a long time, and we've been seeing investors grow. We've been seeing different solutions and mistakes. In your opinion, you know, in your industry, what mistakes are you seeing investors make these days?
I'm a big fan of low-hanging fruit, like just as a high leverage point. Like, what's some simple foundational things that you can do that give you the most amount of leverage? So I think some of those things, especially for this podcast, like the type of leads that people will have, are speed to lead is the biggest thing, no matter what sales industry. Google or ChatGPT, the statistics of speed to lead, it's like insane how much more efficient you are at closing a deal, getting a contract, getting contact with the seller or the prospect, whatever it is, if you're hitting them up within the first 5 minutes. So if you don't have systems in place, manually automated and with AI at this point, that's just like, that's not even a mistake. That's just foundationally low-hanging fruit that you're missing out on. You may as well not even be marketing if you don't have manual, automated, and AI. Manual calling, automated would be like auto responses, like a custom text and email that comes from Carrot CRM /InvestorFuse. And now AI, which I actually didn't ask you before we went live. I haven't talked to Sarah or Amir about this. The AI voice that can call leads as soon as they get generated. So the two companies, just to plug them really quick, that we see investors using are Objection-Proof AI. I know that you had Steve Trang on the show recently. Mm-hmm. And then my buddy, James Hawk, his company, Tim, I'm very bullish on as well, that this year they're poised to be really the first true like autonomous AI voice that can eventually do lead inbound voice, live transfer, and then it's going to be able to work more down the acquisitions pipeline and then do some transaction dispo stuff as well. We'll probably hit on some of that too on this interview, like the future of AI in 2026 and beyond, what it looks like. But I think that's not only the biggest mistake, but that's the easiest thing to get in place for low-hanging fruit for highest leverage, is getting that automated, manual, and AI touch as soon as the lead comes in.
I agree, man. You know, AI is huge, and a lot of people are looking into it, but they don't know how to apply it to their business yet. So thank you for sharing those companies. In your opinion, though, you know, you said follow-up is a big, big thing. How should investors follow up these days with the leads that they're getting? Mm-hmm.
For our industry, a lot of the times when it's a distressed seller, they might be going through something that's embarrassing in their life, or they may not be really excited to be having conversations with people, even if they're filling out a form online. If they just searched on Google, how can I sell my house fast, sell my inherited house, sell my house as I'm getting a divorce, stuff like that. So for me, it's, you know, we just had a conversation with Adam before we came in here. So for me, it's always being like grounded and trying to be empathetic and a good person, having that level of mindfulness, like before you go into every conversation with the seller. That's like a kind of like priming yourself to have good conversations. But as far as following up, speed to lead, if we want to take it from lead intake, speed to lead is absolutely huge. If you have a CRM, it should be able to do, at this day and age, it should be able to do the manual, automated, with like the static responses and AI follow-up. That's huge. But then as far as follow-up moving forward, I think the biggest thing, and again, this helps you stick out, I like to think about, if they're filling out a form online, they're most likely talking to other people as well. Mm-hmm. How can you stick out in those conversations? So some low-hanging fruit, and again, almost anything that we talk about now, you're going to be able to use AI to help you. But I'm a huge fan on sales calls of taking really specific notes. Intentionally, something I could bring up from that conversation into the next conversation. So now you have AI note transcription that can do some of that for you. But if you're able to proactively remember, take note of something specific about them, their situation on the next call, over the course of time and enough reps, you're going to stand out from whatever competition that you have. So there's going to be differentiating philosophies on the type of lead, what type of follow-up that you should do. Like in general, we both know inbound leads typically close a lot faster than cold call, like outbound generated leads, because there's specific intent and interest when they're searching for you online. But I would say my biggest thing is taking notes that allow you to put yourself in a position to stand out from other people that might be giving them follow-up calls.
There's some good insights. And, you know, you spoke about AI, and it's a big topic right now. In your opinion, when should things stay human versus, you know, go more into AI and automation?
There's always going to be people that are rewarded for being the pioneers in AI or whatever we're getting into. AI is going to be the biggest thing maybe in our generation. So there are always going to be the people kind of testing it. They may be giving up a little bit of results, but they're looking to get like the home run or the bigger results. Like they're almost willing to lose the battle to win the war with AI efficiency, if that makes sense. So I'll give an example. Last April, I called a restaurant, Meat Market in Boca, to make a reservation, and they already had full AI receptionist. Wow. And the experience wasn't that great. I still went there and had a great meal, but the experience wasn't that great. It would have been better to have somebody human. Hey, can I make a reservation for 2 at 8:15? Like it reconfirmed a bunch of times and it was like an extra minute on the phone probably. So it's going to depend. I think AI is at a point now, right now, February 2026, AI voice is in a really good position now to take inbound calls, to gather information, and probably do a level of live transfer. Some people that you speak to, though, if they're doing pay-per-click or even PPL in a very targeted small area and they're expensive leads, $300, $400, $500 leads, they might want to have an American acquisition person on the phone that's able to take those calls. They have that relationship with the seller and they're able to take it from contact, first initial contact, all the way to close. So it's a little bit of a preference there. Some people like Steve that you've had on the show are more bullish on AI being able to actually do acquisitions and lock up contracts. From what I see, and that's maybe some of the value that I would have in this conversation, is just talking to people all over. I think at some point this year we'll be there. There are going to be people trying it this year. So it's your preference on some variables would be like risk tolerance, how many leads do you have coming in, how many of them do you want to kind of filter to AI. But I think at some point AI is going to be pretty close to being able to lock up with the top 20% of acquisition people. But there are going to be people testing it now, wow, essentially.
And both of our companies are helping investors scale. Both. I just had Trevor on the show as well. He's awesome. He spoke a lot about Carrot.com. In your opinion, what should investors be doing to scale besides using our softwares? If you have any tips regarding that.
What I've noticed, just a trend-wise, is a lot of people, and I think it's from a few reasons, a lot of people that may have just been starting in the business. I'll kind of speak to maybe people just starting in the business to scaling up, maybe getting a teammate or two, or just trying to get to like multiple transactions a month. Before, the cheapest thing to do was to buy data on a tool like PropStream or something like that and cold call through, maybe some direct mail, maybe some voicemail drops. But with how regulations are and with how phone carriers are now, where even part of their marketing is consumer right protection. Mm-hmm. Literally an iPhone billboard driving around here in Miami like last year was essentially saying something like, we don't give your number out. And like there's even functionality built in for like auto spam blocking. The reason I'm saying that is because cold calling and cold texting is a lot more challenging now. So the beginner person that maybe is on a limited budget or a smaller budget, they may not be best served doing that anymore. Where they could run up, RJ Bates, I don't know if you've had him on, but I know he uses you guys. And I know he's, this year or last year, he was all PPL. That's where I like beginners starting, is doing wider geographically targeted PPL, pay-per-lead campaigns. And you're at least talking to people that are relatively warm. Like for the most part, they're searching on Google how to sell their house versus just cold calling random people and trying to do your elevator pitch when you're just starting off. So scaling first, I think you need to do, and this is like what Trevor speaks about, he mentioned in the interview with you as well, some like hamster wheel marketing where it's very like transactional. Like you got to put money into your motivated seller's account, buy leads, close them, everything like that. But I think that's also what's going to help you get experience and get conversations with sellers under your belt. So my best advice scaling, one, I truly believe it, and I'm very bullish on PPL. I would suggest for people like just starting off, the first level is marketing because you got to get leads to get revenue. I would lean more towards a wider geographical targeted PPL campaign versus doing like cold calling and texting. For someone that's more intermediate, let's say somebody that's been in the business a year or two and is looking to scale, I would say the best advice, especially from what I see, is learning multiple exit strategies. I know you've had Pace Morbion, that's the creative finance sub 2 king. I think what's the biggest thing is learning how to do novations, because just the time that we're at, back in like the COVID area and around that time, there was institutional buyers and hedge fund buyers buying cash at premium. So if wholesalers were able to get a deal under contract, they didn't really have to worry about dispo as much. They knew that they were going to be able to find buyers and properties would move. What has been challenging the last year plus is not being able to sell to those type of buyers at a premium. So the companies that I've seen survive and thrive the last year or two is learning novations, where they can essentially sell to retail buyers on the back end. They're still locking up a deal with the seller. They put a contract in place. You can follow people like Nick Perry that teach how to do that. He'd be a great podcast guest for you as well. But I think that's the biggest thing for intermediates. You got to have different exit strategies for your deals. Like the cash, just doing cash like assignment double close is going to be more and more challenging.
I agree, and I feel like a lot of people I've had on lately are into novations, and they're just tailoring solutions for the sellers. And if you know exactly what the seller wants, you're gonna get that deal eventually. And like you said, cash is one option, but there's millions of ways to do things these days.
Right.
So that's the future of investing, in my opinion, and acquiring more properties. I know you guys have a lot of data. You guys work with a lot of investors. Is there any interesting data or stats you can share with us that can give us some more insights about the market, if you could?
Yeah, I don't have specific stats. I mean, I know if we want to talk real estate market in general, I know that properties are on market more for a longer time. There's less, or I guess there's more inventory, like stuff is just sitting there not moving. So in general, investors have been doing less transactions. So I think just this season that we're in, this is a good time to get like your systems and maybe more evergreen processes in place, something like SEO that you can build towards. Stats and data, I don't think anything is drastically different in maybe like 2025, 2026. I'll share this actually. With AI and SEO, a lot of people the last 6 months to a year would assume that Google search for motivated sellers would kind of just tank. Like more and more people maybe go into like ChatGPT when they search how to sell my house. The opposite is actually taking place. There's been a huge jump the last 6 months and 12 months in Google search overall versus ChatGPT. I don't have the exact numbers when I'm doing like a presentation to a group. I have them on a slide deck, but it's a very significant number of increase in Google search, which is good for both of our companies and who we're serving as well. So I think there's a section of people that use ChatGPT that's probably going to be like the entrepreneurs. That's going to be probably somebody that's going to be searching like best PPL provider for wholesaling, for example. Not somebody that's a motivated seller that's 55-year-old cigarette smoking woman that inherited a house or is divorced, something like that needs to sell their house. So I think that's the biggest stat or kind of surprising thing the last year is that Google search for motivated sellers is actually going up.
That's actually surprising. That's very insightful. Carlos, what's something most people don't know about you? I know you travel a lot for work. You talk to many investors. You're really known in the industry. But what's something you can share with us that people don't know about you?
Besides my close friend, I'll try to think of something personal in work. Personal, I haven't drank for 2 years. Not that I was like a big drinker. I just felt better eating clean, doing yoga every day, meditating, reading, chilling, filling myself up with good inputs like we were talking with Adam before we went live here, just consuming good things. What's else something people don't know about me? I like to say on a personal, just a cool thing about my family is every generation it changes. The firstborn son's name changes from Marco Aurelio to Carlos Enrique, Marco Aurelio, Carlos Enrique for a few generations. That's pretty cool. Business-wise, I don't know. I feel like most people, or I feel like people in business in our industry know a lot about me, but that's a little personal. Yeah. A little personal anecdote. And that was a good question. I don't even know what to.
Yeah, I wanted to get that on the spot. And what's next for you?
And I try to be transparent too, just with people. Like
for
I talk about
anything. Love that. Well, what would you say is next for you, for business in general? For 2026.
Definitely with Carrot. I mean, we have a ton of cool stuff coming out with Carrot. Trevor mentioned a few things that we want to do with AI. Really, the data that we can get with AI is really cool. And I think that's part of the reason that Carrot acquired InvestorFuse is to really have that end-to-end data, and then we can enrich it with AI. So that's kind of the product form that we want to take is essentially people using the product. We get a ton of data from it. We take that data, put it into an AI repository, can ask it, get a ton of information back, put that back into our product and do that. So Trevor mentioned, I think on your guys' interview, we want to be able to, like on the web side, be able to take AI and it can give you like live conversion tips for your website. Like, hey, make this button a little bit bigger. You added a little decrease in conversion, for example. It can take, we have tracking numbers in Carrot Web now included. So if somebody, calls you on a tracking number, it takes AI note transcription. Eventually we want to get to a place where it's like, hey, you can add these objections to your website. Here's a page for your Carrot website that answers this objection that was on that phone call. So really, really cool stuff with AI, like unlimited cool stuff with AI that we have coming out. On the CRM side, like I mentioned with like Tim and Objection Proof, those we're going to see. Like people are going to be trying to use it to its max capacity, like pretty much locking up deals with sellers with AI. So whatever we happen there, it's going to integrate inside the CRM, either via like smartphone or any of the VoIP phone providers. And for me personally, just building out the partner program more and more for Carrot's my biggest thing. Living life down here, traveling, joining masterminds. I'll be hanging out with you guys' events like usual, but that's really the main focus. I want to start using AI more and more. We just rolled out Claude internally as a company, which is pretty cool. So I just got access to that, and I made a personal Claude account as well. And when we're recording this, what's really popping right now are the Claude bots, where people are using like Claude Cowork on a secondary computer or device, and it can just autonomously work email, schedule things on your calendar. It can use your credit card to purchase things. You give it like a daily limit. So like literally right now, I'm even studying what people are doing with that right now. They just have like a second computer running with like a Claude bot. So I want to get more and more into using AI in my day-to-day life too.
That's awesome. I see that this conversation is very, revolved around AI, and I can tell you AI has been changing our lives as well. And, in such an industry that's so big and helps so many people, it's definitely heading there. It might take some time for some specific things, but I'm also bullish on it as well, and I'm excited to see what you guys are doing. It sounds awesome. And you're a very spiritual guy as well. To kind of conclude this conversation, what's something that inspires you? And if you could share a quote with us or a resource that could leave us off, what would that be?
Quote, I like Simplicity is the Ultimate Genius by Leonardo da Vinci. There's a lot of quotes or books that I like. I like that one because that's how we try to design our software, and we're really big into automation. So automation essentially will help an owner get back more time through efficiency. So when you're designing something, whether it's a software, CRM, a website, a service, I think making it as simple as possible is like true genius. I love that quote. Simplicity is the ultimate genius by Leonardo da Vinci. What was the other part of the question? Quote and something to leave you with?
Yeah, just to leave us off with.
I like that, man. I think to leave it in general for me, I like that quote. As a company with doing the CRM, we're big in software automation. I think the ultimate leverage point for humans and what I'm most interested in is self-automation. So how's your subconscious programmed, and kind of taking note of that, reflecting, and what type of like rituals and habits could you put to help automate yourself to put you in the position to have like the most fulfilled, productive, optimized life really.
I love that.
I think is big.
Yeah, automation, man. And like you said, AI, when it comes to personalization, I feel like that's a big one. People, there's so much data out there, what I mean? Things that are proven. So if you kind of can integrate that into your business, it's kind of like a no-risk solution,
Right.
for the future. So I love that, man. And it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you again for hopping on and sharing all this with us. If people want to connect with you, learn more about you on a personal level or for your business, how can they do that?
For sure. Carrot.com is really good. If you guys, and especially if you guys want to see anything on the AI SEO that we do, we're doing it every month right now. So we literally just, for you guys, for anybody that's in the space, we literally take all our findings of what's going on with AI in search engine optimization or Google search, ChatGPT, any of the LLMs. And we do like a 4-day, essentially like a 1-2 hour just lesson on it. So if you guys go to carrot.com/challenge, let us know that you guys came from Motivated Sellers as well. And then personal, on Instagram @getcarrot, and then my Instagram @itslos21 if you want to follow there.
Awesome, Carlos. Thank you again for joining us on Investor One-on-One. If you found this insightful, please subscribe, like, comment, and share this with another investor that could find this very insightful. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, bro.